No.
Show me your hands.
He's probably dead.
I don't give a shit. Show me your hands. I need to see your fucking hands. Hands, motherfucker, hands. Hands.
Oh shit.
Let me see your fucking hands.
Boy, that's a cop.
Get out. Back in that car.
No, I know.
Bad guy.
Yeah.
How many people almost killed?
Yep.
Stupid people in the world.
Is he drunk or what?
Got tracks up that his arm. He's
Oh.
just shooting up.
It was no ordinary arrest. The suspect had barely dried scratches on his hands. There was a bruise around his left eye on his face, and behind that motionless silence were more than 80 miles of highway where he fled, through multiple counties, multiple police checkpoints, as if he knew he could never turn back. The man arrested was a 26-year-old college graduate whose girlfriend was a smart, beautiful medical student. No one in this quiet Memphis suburb would have thought that morning, during a charity event, would become a wound that would never heal. But why did he flee? Why did his car show up that morning, right where a young woman was on her way to the event? And the scream, "Show me your hands." Is that an order for a murderer? Or is there something else that has not been revealed? On the morning of October 19th, 2024, in Memphis, Tennessee, the clear blue sky welcomed hundreds of people flocking to Shelby Farms Park to participate in the annual event, Making Strides Against Breast Cancer, a community activity calling for raising awareness of breast cancer. In that stream of people, Ellie Young, a 22-year-old medical student, had just driven a silver Jeep into the parking area at the reception center at about 12:10 p.m. According to the security camera in the parking lot and testimony from witnesses, Ellie left the car in a normal state, showing no signs of hurry or panic. However, only about 5 minutes later, a white Honda CR-V appeared from the side entrance, driving slowly and showing signs of stopping less than 10 meters from her car. The driver was later identified as someone close to Ellie, a former boyfriend who had ended their relationship after a nasty breakup a few weeks earlier. 12:15 p.m., a loud noise, described by witnesses as like an exhaust note, but more decisive. Seconds later, Ellie was seen slumped against her car door before a second bang was heard. The man driving the CR-V immediately turned around and sped away, leaving the parking lot at high speed. Police arrived at the scene less than 10 minutes after the call. Bystanders described the scene as frozen. The line of people preparing to walk was interrupted by the sudden noise and chaotic reaction. Several people said they had seen the white CR-V around the area earlier in the day, but no one knew who the driver was. Notably, Ellie had told classmates that she felt uncomfortable that someone was constantly following her social media accounts, even though she had blocked them. She had also texted her sister the night before that she was not sure if I should go to the event alone. Less than 30 minutes after the incident, police began pursuing a CR-V matching the description, traveling north, passing through several checkpoints. The chase lasted more than an hour, crossed 2 neighboring counties, and ended when the car crashed near the Lauderdale County border. A man was pulled from the car with minor injuries. At the time, no one said anything, but everyone was waiting for a clear answer. What happened in the peaceful park that afternoon? The first person to notice the incident was not the police or the medical staff present at the event, but a volunteer in charge of the reception area, Ms. Samantha Lee, a senior in nursing. She arrived at the parking lot at 12:18 p.m. to check the driveway and accidentally discovered a woman lying motionless next to the driver's door of a silver Jeep. Ellie was no longer moving. Her eyes were half closed. Her hands were hanging limply on the ground. According to Samantha, she was lying like she had just slipped, too gently to be a fall. The 911 call was made at 12:19 p.m. The initial voice on the phone was confused, as the caller, another witness in the area, thought someone had fainted from the sun or low blood pressure. However, when this person approached with Samantha, they clearly saw blood seeping through the front of Ellie's shirt. That was also the moment the call went from panic to urgency. Near the end of the recording, a clear shout was heard. "She's been shot! I think she's been shot!" When the first Memphis Police Department unit arrived at 12:27, the area had been temporarily cordoned off by a group of volunteers. A thin strip of towels had been stretched across nearby vehicles, like a random barrier in the still sparsely populated parking lot. Two officers approached the Jeep from the opposite side of the light. The driver's door was still open. Her purse, phone, and Ellie Young badge were still on the passenger seat. There were no signs of rummaging or foreign objects around. What the police noticed first was not the wound, but the way the body was lying. Ellie was lying on her side, her head facing the back of the car, less than a hand's breadth from the door, as if she had left the car, but had not yet fully walked away. Both feet were still in slippers, and there were no obvious signs of impact on her sides. A light breeze blew, causing the hem of her white shirt to sway slightly, creating an eerily quiet scene. A classmate, who happened to see the scene from afar, immediately ran over when she recognized the license plate. This person claimed that Ellie had no enemies and had sent good luck messages this morning before the event. However, when questioned further, she hesitantly mentioned an old acquaintance that Ellie had mentioned with an uncomfortable attitude. From there, the police began to ask, if it was not a random accident, why was there only one car arriving and leaving at that exact moment? At the time, no one expected that this small detail in the first statement would send the entire investigation in a completely different direction. On the afternoon of October 19, 2024, Memphis Police Department forensics officers secured the scene of a shooting at the Shelby Farms parking lot. Ellie Young was found next to her Jeep Wrangler, which was in the parking lot for charity event attendees. The driver's door was ajar, the windows were intact, and there were no signs of forced entry or forced entry. A report from the scene showed the victim lying motionless near the driver's side door, apparently having just exited the vehicle before being shot. Forensic officers determined that Ellie died from a single gunshot wound to the left chest, and the estimated time of death was between 12:13 and 12:16 p.m., which is consistent with the time several people nearby reported hearing gunshots. The amount of blood at the scene was relatively small, concentrated mainly outside the car, near the driver's door. There were no signs of ransacking or fighting inside the car. A special piece of evidence was discovered on the ground near the car. A handwritten note with the words, "Don't forget what you promised." The note had no name, no additional notes, but was considered a detail with potential personal meaning and was sealed for fingerprint and writing sample examination. From a seemingly simple scene, the crime scene quickly opened up a series of suspicions. Late in the afternoon of October 19, 2024, as the sun began to set behind the dense trees surrounding Shelby Farms Park, the investigation team had essentially completed a preliminary timeline of the incident. The victim was attacked at approximately 12:15 p.m., died at the scene, with no signs of a struggle. The suspect vehicle, a white Honda CR-V, was spotted fleeing north, crossing the Tipton County border at approximately 1:05 p.m. and overturned near Lauderdale at 2:23 p.m. That same evening, the suspect was identified as Jackson Hopper, 26, of Germantown, who had been in a relationship with Ellie Young for nearly a year. The two had broken up just weeks before the incident. Several of Ellie's friends confirmed that she had been anxious after the breakup. Hopper would text, call, and sometimes wait for her outside her classroom. When arrested, Hopper appeared tired but did not react violently. When asked why he had driven away, he simply said, "I was scared. I don't know what happened." This immediately raised the police's suspicions. At the time, the victim's identity or the nature of the crime had not been made public. On October 20th, Hopper was taken to Memphis Police Department headquarters for questioning. There, he said he had just gone for a cool drive that morning, had not gone to Shelby Farms, and did not know Ellie was at the event. However, traffic cameras at an intersection near the park captured a CRV with the same license plate at 11:58 a.m., just before the shooting. Investigators continued to focus on when Hopper left his home. He said he left around 11:30 a.m. to buy coffee. However, credit card records showed his most recent transaction was the night before, and no cameras recorded him at any coffee shop during that time. A notable development occurred on October 21st, when police found a blue hoodie in Hopper's car that was crumpled, covered in dirt, and had a long scratch on the left shoulder. When questioned, Hopper said he couldn't remember when he last wore it, and that it was an old shirt that had been in the car for a long time. Although not conclusive, the item was kept for future reference against camera footage and testimony. That same day, surveillance footage from a home near Shelby Farms showed a white CRV driving slowly through the main gate area at 11:40. Although the image was blurry, the driver matched Hopper's appearance, wearing a light-colored jacket with blue sleeves visible underneath. During his second interview, Hopper began to change his tone. Instead of denying it outright, he said he may have gone past the park, but couldn't remember. When presented with each piece of evidence, from the vehicle's route, to the camera footage, to the GPS recording time, Hopper began to appear confused, giving short answers, repeatedly raising his hands to his face, and avoiding direct eye contact with the investigator. One thing that particularly caught the attention of the police was that throughout more than 3 hours of questioning, Hopper did not ask about Ellie's condition, a detail that psychologists analyze as an inappropriate emotional reaction, especially for someone who had been in a long-term relationship. On October 22nd, after the results of the fingerprint examination on the note found at the scene matched Hopper's, the investigating agency officially recommended prosecution. Although he still denied being at the scene, the circumstantial evidence was enough to warrant detention without bail. From a seemingly simple crime scene, each small detail, an inconsistent statement, an item of evidence left in the car, and a fingerprint, gradually revealed the truth hidden behind the initial calm. Although not yet officially entering a full trial, a series of hearings before August 18, 2025 have revealed important pieces in the case file of Jackson Hopper, who is accused of killing his ex-girlfriend, medical student Ellie Young. At Shelby County Criminal Court, the atmosphere of the internal sessions is no longer just a formality. Every testimony, every legal move is like a test, measuring the strength of each side before the real battle day. The May 27th hearing became a highlight when Hopper first showed obvious confusion in the face of new evidence presented by the prosecutor. A clip from a residential camera near the entrance to Shelby Farms Park, recorded at about 11:40 a.m. on the day of the incident, shows a white CR5 circling the parking lot. Although the images were not clear enough to identify the suspect, the prosecution argued, the question is not just who was in the car, but why the car was there at that time. The defense's response began to change. Instead of completely denying Hopper's presence at the scene as they had previously, his lawyers shifted their strategy, admitting that Hopper may have accidentally driven through the area, but denying any intent to cause harm. They highlighted the defendant's mental instability after the breakup and questioned whether driving to the park necessarily implied a motive. In a closed-door hearing in mid-July, the prosecution revealed that they were considering calling a new witness, someone who allegedly saw Hopper at a convenience store near the park, minutes before the incident. If the court approves it, it could be a key factor in the upcoming trial. Public reaction remains polarized. Some supporters of Ellie's family are demanding the maximum sentence if the court finds her guilty. But there are also concerns about the evidence relying too heavily on digital data and hidden cameras, things that are easily disputed in terms of authenticity. In legal forums, the question is constantly being asked, can a blurry video replace a living witness? The trial on August 18 is considered the climax in a series of tensions that has lasted nearly a year. It is there that all the witnesses, the evidence, and what is hidden behind the testimony will face each other for the first time before justice. And perhaps it is also the time when everyone, the victim's family, the lawyers on both sides, the public, will be forced to face the most difficult question: is the truth enough to convict? Ellie Young is not just a victim. She is a symbol of unfulfilled dreams, of a generation living idealistic lives but facing dangers that they sometimes do not even realize. Her death is not simply a criminal case. It is a deep cut into society's sense of safety, of trust, and of the ability to listen to silent signals. We often teach people how to be successful, how to be strong, but very rarely teach them how to deal with trauma, with psychological instability after a breakup, with feelings of abandonment, with a rejected self. And sometimes it is that void that produces behaviors that are out of control. This case also forces us to look at another reality: silence. Silence from the victim. When Ellie just texted, "Not sure if I should go alone," and then moved on. Silence from her friends, when her insecurities were not taken seriously. And sometimes silence from the whole community, where people still think it's just a breakup, everyone goes through it. On the other hand, violent behavior never starts with violence. It starts with obsession, control, clinging and not accepting loss, psychological signs that seem harmless if not observed and intervened in time. Ellie's death not only raises questions about justice, it raises questions about the way we live. Are we really listening to the people around us? Or do we only realize the abnormality when everything is too late?